What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. And UFC Abu Dhabi is taking place this weekend, and this card's absolutely stacked for a fight night. It's probably one of the best cards of the year, to be honest with you. And in the main event is Corey Sandhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm so excited for this fight. This is a super compelling matchup, and it's two high-level guys, and it's going to make for a high-level fight. Corey Sandhagen's been a guy that's been at the top of the bantamweight division for some time. He's fought pretty much everybody, and he's looked really good in his recent fights. He's developed some sort of wrestling to his game now, and it's helped him in matchups against Rob Font and Chito Vera, where he looked completely dominant. Then, of course, you have the cousin of Khabib Nurmagomedov, Umar. He's fighting Corey, and he is 17-0, undefeated, and this is his first crack at a real tough and dangerous opponent. So it'll be interesting to see how he does against a guy like Corey. Props to Corey Sandhagen, because he's the only guy in the top 15 that wanted to fight Umar, and he actually invited this fight, so much so that he was calling for it, which is very interesting and something you don't see a lot from guys who are ranked, especially with the risk that he could be taking against a guy like Umar. Because allowing a guy like Umar to fight you, who we all know is very talented. Umar can strike, he can wrestle, he's a complete package, and he's definitely going to go in there and give Corey some problems. But for Corey to actually say, you know what, I want this guy, he's the guy nobody wants to fight, I think it's pretty badass. And him being that confident in a fight with Umar makes me think that there's actually a pretty good chance he could win this fight. And I think a lot of people are counting out Corey in this matchup, which is kind of crazy to me. I mean, I know Umar is Umar, and I know a descendant of Khabib, you know he's going to be good, but Corey is also very good himself. I mean, this guy's 17-4. He's only really lost to the best in the UFC, and I don't see why people are sleeping on him so much, especially when he's been making these changes to his game over the past year, and he's incorporated different things into his camp. I think he's setting himself up for success in this matchup. So I touched on it a bit before, but Corey can now wrestle, and he can wrestle really effectively. Yes, it made for boring fights with Chito and Rob, but at the end of the day, they were both dominant matchups and both the pathway to success. I mean, Rob Font's a great striker, so is Chito Vera. So wrestling would be the smart thing to do against guys like that. And although it may not be the most flashy style, it's not exactly like Corey is going to go in there and just hug guys for 25 minutes. Like, Sandhagen's still dangerous on the feet. He still has all those tools, and he's just used the wrestling as a different way to win fights against guys that are also very good at striking. Another big change Corey made for this camp against Umar was bringing in Trevor Wittman. If you don't know who Trevor Wittman is, he was the coach of Kamaru Usman, Justin Gaethje, Rose Namajunas for a bit. He's an excellent mind in MMA, and anybody who ever talks about Trevor Wittman has nothing but good things to say about him. They say he's a tactical genius, and he really understands the game very well. And bringing in a guy like Wittman to your camp for a fight against Umar, it's such a smart move, because if there's anybody that's really going to be able to try and piece together a game plan for a guy like Umar, who's good pretty much everywhere, it's going to be Trevor Wittman. Another important thing to note too is that Sandhagen's taken a lot of time off in between fights for this fight. I mean, the last time he fought was a year ago, pretty much to the date when this fight happened. So that's also pretty interesting as well. And it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. Maybe he's taken a lot of time off to prepare for Umar and try and come in with the perfect game plan, or he just didn't really want to fight anybody else. I don't know. Either way, I think it was smart for Corey to have a bit of time off here, because you need to prepare for a guy like Umar, and it's not like every other fight. You know the risks at the table, and you know what would happen if you actually do end up beating Umar, which is fighting for the title. This has pretty much been all but confirmed that it is a #1 contender fight, and the winner of this will fight the winner of Sugar Sean versus Merab Dvalishvili, which happens at the Sphere just about a month after. So timelines are nice too. You could even see the winner of this fight and the winner of that fight get into the cage maybe towards the end of the year or early 2025. So that's nice to see. But there's a lot riding in this matchup. It's not just a main event, it's also a #1 contenders fight, and it's a fight that Corey really needs to win. Like, of course, Umar would obviously love to win this as well, but it doesn't mean as much for him, because at the end of the day, he's an unranked contender trying to break into the top 15, and if he wins, yeah, it could set him up for a title shot, but if he doesn't, okay, he'll go back to the drawing board, beat a couple guys towards the bottom of the top 15, and he could get right back in there. But for Corey to lose this, it really sets him back a lot more. Now, stylistically, both of these guys are so high level, I'm honestly not even sure how this fight plays out. I think we could see striking in this, I think we could see wrestling from both sides, and I don't know how it's going to play out exactly, but I know it's going to be really, really fun either way. And I think Corey does have a bit of an advantage on the feet because there is a bit of a reach difference between the two, so I think that will help him. And on the ground, I think I would tip Umar, but with the way Corey's been wrestling lately, especially now training with Trevor Whitman, I don't know. I feel like Corey may surprise us in the wrestling department too. Maybe he can reverse Umar. Maybe he could get on top in some positions. Who even knows? But I think Umar is going to be a little bit hesitant to go to the ground with Corey as much as he would be against other opponents, because at the end of the day, Umar is also a very good striker himself. He may even see success on the feet and not even want to go to the ground at all and risk anything, because Corey, he's also going to be dangerous down there too. Now, the only major difference in the two here is the level of opponents that they faced. Umar really hasn't faced anybody all too impressive, to be honest, so far in his career. I mean, the last guy he fought, Almakhan, actually gave him a really tough fight, and there was points in that fight where Umar was not winning it. So I think that if you're struggling against a guy like that, who was very good, by the way, yes, he was an unsigned prospect, but he was very, very good. Not your typical guy you'd pick up off the street. So yes, that guy was good, and obviously he gave Umar trouble, but that is a little bit worrying when you're going into a fight with Corey Sandhagen, who is probably one of the most well-rounded guys in this division, and also just one of the best fighters in the division in general. And then you take a look at Sandhagen's resume, and you have incredible names that have been perennial contenders for years and years, former champions. I don't know. I think that this fight just may be a little bit too much of a jump up for Umar Nurmagomedov. I am going to be taking Corey Sandhagen to win this fight, and I don't know if he'll get the finish. I think it's tough to finish a guy like Umar, but I could really see him maybe coasting in the first couple rounds, and then 3, 4, 5 just really try and take over the fight and dominate from there. And I think Umar may be a little gassed out towards the later rounds. Never really had a 5-round fight main event. Corey's had multiple. That's also on his side. So I could see Corey finding success in the later rounds and then potentially winning a decision over Umar Nurmagomedov. I mean, it's going to be tough. The fight's in Abu Dhabi, so getting a decision over a Dagestani is going to be damn near impossible, but he will. And I think that if he does get the win over Umar, he should be granted the title shot. Yes, it's against an unranked opponent, but at the end of the day, he's the only guy that stepped up to the plate to fight this guy. And if he goes out and wins, I think granting him a title shot against the winner of Sean or Merab is what makes the most sense. Well, there you guys have it. Those are my thoughts on this matchup between Corey and Umar. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you agree with what I had to say, or do you disagree? Do you think Umar's just going to go in there and run over Corey? Let me know down below. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Also, be on the lookout for my prediction video. I'm going to cover some of the other fights on this card and give you my picks, because I think there's a lot of fun matchups, and if you like betting, there's going to be some nice bets you can make for this card too. So be on the lookout for that. I want to thank you all for watching once again, and I'll see you all in the next one.